The trade deadline is less than a week away. And it don't really feel like it. Like, we get some rumors. Like, we already talked about De'Aaron Fox. Go watch that video yesterday if you missed it. Of course, we got the Jimmy Butler thing. But it don't feel like the trade deadline is a couple days away. So I'm trying to get everybody in the spirit of things by reacting to a BR article. One new trade idea for each team 1 week before the 2025 NBA trade deadline. Shout out to Zach Buckley at Bleacher Report. Let's think through some of these trades. Number one, we have Jakob Poeltl in exchange for Clint Capella, Kobe Buffkin, and 2 second-round picks. So there are a couple centers that are obviously on the market this year, whether it be Vucevic, whether it be Poeltl, whether it be Valanciunas. Some of these dudes are going to get traded. And the question is, what is the market? I don't believe that the market for these guys is like a true first-round pick, and it might end up being interesting young player in a few seconds. And if that is where you think the market is for Jakob Poeltl, I don't think you could get much better than this. You get Clint Capella in so he can help you stay whatever your goal is for the rest of the season. Clint Capella is a good NBA player at the bare minimum, and then you get to take a chance on Kobe Buffkin and 2 second-round picks. I don't hate this. I mean, if I'm looking at it from the Atlanta Hawks standpoint, their idea is to try to stay relevant so they can, make a push to the postseason and not think about that pick that they gave up to the Spurs. So I don't mind this one too much. Obviously, Toronto would prefer to get a lottery protected first or something like that, but I'm just not sure how many first-round picks are going to get thrown around at this trade deadline. Number 2, we get the Boston Celtics taking on Javonte Green for Jaden Springer in a second. We've talked about this trade before. Even though the article says one new trade idea, I'm 100% sure we talked about this trade before because I was saying I love when Javonte Green was a part of the Boston Celtics. So since we talked about it before, I'll move on to the next one, which is the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, so it is Marcus Smart. It is Gigi Jackson, and is a top 5 protected 2025 pick. The Memphis Grizzlies are a good basketball team, so we're talking about what? The 23rd, 24th overall pick in this year's draft for Cam Johnson. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about what the market of Cam Johnson is. Some people are thinking that it's going to be 2 first-round picks. And if it's this, I don't hate it too much. And the reason I say that is that Gigi Jackson is practically a first-round pick in itself. What is he, 20 years old right now? Yeah, he was born in 2004. That don't even make sense to me. Oh, my God, I'm old. But he's a 20-year-old. He's younger than some of the people that you would take with a first-round pick next season. So what happened with Marcus Smart, he probably sits the rest of the season, just like D'Angelo Russell, not sits in a literal sense, but he sits on the roster for the rest of the season, plays, and then maybe gets his value up so you can do the same thing. You brought in Cam Johnson on the trade, and now you're flipping him for future assets. Marcus Smart could potentially do that. I don't mind this trade, man. When we talk about, I talked about this on my podcast last week about how I believe the Grizzlies are one of those teams that should do some type of consolidation trade where they trade a few of their real NBA players for maybe one. And I don't mind this as a thing. The Nets get a first-round pick. I'm not mad at this, bro. I think Buckley might be cooking. Listen, I think he might be cooking. Let's see what else he cooks up. Charlotte Hornets, his big body David Roddy, and a second-round pick for Micic. I mean, I guess. I do believe that the Atlanta Hawks could benefit from having another ball handler. I just don't think Micic is good. So, pass. Chicago Bulls, Cal Anderson, Gary Payton, and Santos, and a lottery protected pick. Oh, wow. I would actually say yes to this deal right here, right now. If this deal was available on the table for the Bulls, I think they would be crazy not to say yes to it. Obviously, Cal Anderson and Gary Payton and Santos, those dudes are probably not a part of your long-term plan. But you got to remember, last season, there was no market for Vucevic whatsoever. And now he's playing such phenomenal basketball. If we could get a first-round pick, granted it is lottery protected, I would be really happy with that. And maybe he helps them make the postseason so that pick actualizes. And now we got, the 19th, 20th overall pick. 2 first-rounders this year. Chicago, shout out to you. I would take this deal in a heartbeat, I think. Next, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. Chris Boucher for George Niang and 2 second-round picks. Chris Boucher is an interesting player, man. He's been having a phenomenal last month or so from a guy that was basically playing close to no minutes. So they were like, you know what? We should probably play him a little bit to get his value up. He's a streaky shooter, but when he is on, he is on. So they're basically thinking that, hypothetically, if something happens to one of the front court players, they need somebody that's not Tristan Thompson playing, and maybe that's Chris Boucher. I like Chris Boucher's fit on the Knicks. I just saw a report that they might be interested in him, and since then, I can't stop thinking about that. I don't mind this trade either way. Like, again, if you could get multiple second-round picks for Chris Boucher, you'd probably say yes to that deal. Shout out to the minivan. Maybe you don't want to trade him, though. Dallas Mavericks get Kelly Olynyk from Maxi Kleber, Jaden Hardy. Dang, the Raptors just in every trade, huh? The Raptors are selling it all, and in this one, they get Jaden Hardy. Another thing, if I'm Dallas, even though I firmly do believe that they could use an upgrade like bringing in Kelly Olynyk, If I'm trading Jaden Hardy, I don't think it's an Kelly Olynyk trade. Now, I'm not about to act like Jaden Hardy's about to be the greatest player since Michael Jordan or anything, but I am very intrigued about him as an NBA player enough where this trade is not enough for me to throw him to Toronto. But if I was Toronto, I'd be interested. Next, we get the Denver Nuggets, who can't do a ton, but they can bring in two of the top Serbian players in the world, DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanovic, for Michael Porter Jr., Zeke Naji, in a 2031 first-round pick swap. Not a true first-round pick, but it's a swap. That is some interesting stuff. Bogdanovic is having a awful efficiency season. And he is older than a lot of people recognize. He's in his 30s. So the question is this downplay, is this him, or is this just a weird first half of his season? I don't really know. I mean, obviously you get superpowers when you play with somebody from your home country, so maybe he gets an uptick there. DeAndre Hunter is really good, but he doesn't stay healthy. One thing about Michael Porter Jr. that you could say over the last couple of years after it being in question is he stays healthy now. DeAndre Hunter, as good as he has been this season, I can't trust that he's going to be available for the long run, because even this year when he was leading the league in points off the bench, his ass is injured again. I'd probably just sit. It would be cool to get off Zeke Naji's contract. I'd probably just sit on this trade. It's a no. Detroit basketball. I love the Brandon Ingram fit in Detroit, mostly because I think there's a huge gap between Cade Cunningham and the second best creator and second best player on the Detroit Pistons. And Brandon Ingram could be that. He obviously also has his questions about his health because he feels like he's always out of the lineup. But he is a player that I would 100% be interested in if I'm Detroit, because he's extendable. And I think his fit alongside Cade Cunningham would be pretty magnificent. Tim Hardaway Jr. is cool. Isaiah Stewart's maybe a little bit better than what consensus thinks. And if it is just 2 second-round picks and Isaiah Stewart, I'm not mad at that, bro. I'm not mad at that. I'd probably call this one to the league office if I'm Detroit. From the other side of things, it would feel really weird that this is the total value that you get from Brandon Ingram, but you got to think about it like this. His contract expires in 3 months now. We all know that he's not coming back to New Orleans. So though the talent level is extreme, the value that you're going to get for him every day, it's getting less and less and less and less and less. In 2 seconds. Kind of trash, but it might be what you get, man. Next, we get the Golden State Warriors also getting in on the Vucevic. Bro, is this the same trade, but instead of 1 first-round pick, you gave me 2 seconds? Why the hell would I do this one instead of the other one? What is going on? Dang, we gonna get a little bit more creative here? No, pass. Give me the first-round pick, brother. Houston Rockets, Josh Richardson, and a 2026 second-round pick for another second-round pick. I don't get this one. Between Houston's win-now talent and lack of top-shelf star and plethora of draft picks and young players, the Rockets appear on first glance as prime candidates for a blockbuster trade. It doesn't seem like that's actually in the cards, though. Okay, true. 100%, I guess. So pass. This is nothing to talk about. Indiana Pacers. Here's another team that in my podcast I mentioned should be a consolidation team. They got a lot of great players over there, a lot of good players, and everybody can't play if everybody's healthy. So it's Cam Johnson in exchange from Obi Toppin, Aaron Nesmith, and 2 firsts. It's 1 first, top 5 protected, and then a swap in 2030. I think that's too rich, man. And I really love Cam Johnson, but I'm a little bit afraid of the production that Cam Johnson's given us in real life is not the version of him you're going to get if you trade for him, or maybe his efficiency drops a little bit. Now, he's always been efficient, but like right now, he's one of the most efficient players in ball. I feel weird about paying a super premium for that when it might be a 1-year outlier. So I would pass on this if I'm the Pacers, even though I do believe that they got to do something. Next, the Clippers get Jordan Clarkson for PJ Tucker, Bones Highland in 2 seconds. Jordan Clarkson, another one of those players, not having a great season, but he still says he's supplying 16 and 4 a night. He would come in and benefit this team a lot. I do believe that the Clippers are going to use this package to get something. PJ's not playing with them. Bones Highland not in the rotation or anything. Is Jordan Clarkson the best you can do? Maybe he is. And if that's the case, then call him to the league office and go get another creator off the bench. Next, we get the LA Lakers. I don't even want to talk about this because there's no chance. Vivek is not trading his best player to the Lakers. I think there's too much history between the organizations for him to say, De'Aaron Fox, you're a Laker now. So I'm just going to pass on that completely. Memphis Grizzlies also in the Cam Johnson sweepstakes. This time around, it's Marcus Smart, Santi Aldama, and a 2026 first-round pick. Santi Aldama is one of those players that I know that Grizzlies fans love, but the likelihood you're able to retain him is pretty low. So if you're going to do something to maximize his value, maybe this is a deal that can do that. I'm not mad at this one either. Yeah, I would be interested in that, I think. Miami Heat now. This is a more a more realistic destination. Oh, this is a big trade too. Okay. The Miami Heat received De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, and a second-round pick. The Suns received Jimmy Butler. The Sacramento Kings walk out with Bradley Beal, Jaime Jaquez, 1 first-round pick, 2 first-round pick, 3 first-round pick. But it's like via this and that. These are the first-round picks that they traded for. The Suns traded for last week. Not too incredible first-round picks, but they're picks nonetheless. So they said that they wanted to get a couple players that can help them compete now. Talk about the Sacramento Kings and also draft capital. This gives them that. I just don't think many teams are going to be like, yeah, we want in on the Bradley Beal contract. You think about DeMar DeRozan, you're thinking about Sabonis' extension. I just don't think they're interested in that, even though Bradley Beal is a good player. I do believe that Bradley Beal and Domantas Sabonis can play off each other pretty well. I think that's kind of what Sabonis is. He can play alongside. If you can create for yourself, you can play alongside Sabonis and be successful. I just don't love it. Jaime Jaquez is an intriguing prospect for them, even though he's not having the greatest season this year. They need more wings on that team. They just have a lack of wings, so that's kind of interesting. But I think the Sacramento Kings walk away from this like we think that we could get better first-round picks than these trash 3 that are in this one. Milwaukee Bucks, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis in a first-round pick from 2031. This one hurts my heart. I don't want to see him play in Milwaukee. Nothing against Milwaukee, but it's something like, I don't know. It's an unofficial rivalry because we haven't been good in a million years. I guess we played each other in the playoffs 3 years or so ago. I just find it hard to believe that the front office would trade Zach LaVine to a rival. And if it was the case, I would. This sounds weird. I would root for the Bucks. I'm one of the people that follows his players, right? I'm 100% gonna be a Bulls fan for life. I'm gonna make that very apparent. But wherever Zach LaVine gets traded to, they're adding me as a secondary fan because I love Zach LaVine. This is as far as a trade package goes. What, Chris Middleton, is he expiring? I think he's expiring. Let me double check. He's got a player option next year. I'm probably staying away from this one. Pass. But it is cool to see a first-round pick. This first-round pick could be interesting. I do look at Giannis as a one-team guy, but in the likelihood that he's not, a 2031 first-round pick could be super valuable. I feel like it's unlikely, though. Minnesota Timberwolves is Malachi Branham. Wow, wait a minute. If the Timberwolves, who are on track to be a play-in team, view the deadline through a lesser lens and remainder of the season, that could... Sheesh, nah, I don't even want to... Oh, man. Think about the idea of the Timberwolves being sellers for financial reasons. I hate that idea. Pass, bro. New Orleans Pelicans, this is a Toronto Raptors Brandon Ingram deal. Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, 3 second-round picks. Is this like a wash your hands on both sides deal? You get an extra big for the Pelicans. Instead of it being Daniel Tyson, use Messi, you now bring a Kelly Olynyk. Okay. Bruce Brown, at least in theory, is a good basketball player. Is he a good basketball player anymore? Couldn't tell you. 3 seconds. This is one of those ones that if it happened in real life, I'm like, who is this benefiting? Who is this really benefiting? Because you got to think about the Toronto Raptors already extended Emmanuel quickly on a lot of money. RJ is still under his big contract. And then Scotty just got his full max. So we're going to also extend Brandon Ingram. That's going to be our core 4. And then we don't have any money to do anything else. I don't like this deal at all. I'm going to pass. New York Knicks get Jonas Valanciunas for Mitchell Robinson, 2 second-round picks. You know that they need another center. I guess Mitchell Robinson is the bait that you need in order to make it happen. I know we haven't seen a single second of it. In theory, I like the idea of Mitchell Robinson staying on this team. I understand Knicks fans have wavering ideas about Mitchell Robinson nowadays, considering he hasn't been able to stay healthy. This is another one of those deals. It's like I'm kind of indifferent. I'm just indifferent completely. Here, the Oklahoma City Thunder trading Isaiah Joe, Ousmane Dieng, and a top 5 first-round pick, or top 10 protected first-round pick for Colin Sexton. I think Colin Sexton is at the point now where he's considered an underrated asset. He's been hooping in the same Kyrie's for a million years. I think I talked about that before. Isaiah Joe feels very good on this team because he knows his role. He knows his role really well. It's an obvious upgrade when it comes talent for sure, but it feels weird to try to break up that chemistry. The Oklahoma City Thunder are one of the best teams in basketball, and I always feel iffy about messing up the camaraderie of a locker room when things are going well. I think Colin Sexton can help provide some of the things they're missing as another creator, another jump shot maker, but they're also trading Isaiah Joe, who's one of the better snipers in the league. So I'm not interested in it. If I am the Jazz, I think that's the type of package that I would be interested in, though. Orlando Magic. Oh, it's the De'Aaron Fox trade. It is Jonathan Isaac, Anthony Black, a first-round pick in 2026, a first-round pick in 2028, and a second-round pick. I feel like De'Aaron Fox is worth a little bit more than this. And shout out to Anthony Black, as he is an intriguing young player. I just feel like we could get a little bit more. And though he obviously is a huge upgrade, I don't know if I necessarily love the fit with De'Aaron Fox in Orlando. I could be wrong there. If it does happen, it could be successful. It's obviously a talent upgrade. De'Aaron Fox is a great player. They've committed a lot to Franz, to Paolo, and to Jalen Suggs. So to think that De'Aaron Fox gets traded there and he also gets an extension, I just, but from the other side of things, I don't like it from the Sacramento Kings. Just full stop there. I don't like it from the Kings. 76ers get Jimmy Butler and Alec Burks for Paul George in the 2026 first-round pick, top 5 protector. This is a conversation I had with the boys recently. Do you think the Miami Heat is interested in Paul George in the next 3 years of his contract? Because I find it hard to believe that they might be. Obviously, Paul George is a good player still, even though he's not as good this year as he was last year. I'm thinking about this regression and thinking, like, is this real, right? If he's looking this wishy-washy on a night-to-night basis, who knows what it's going to look like in 3 years? I don't know if I want to be in on that if I'm the Miami Heat. Obviously, it's a good talent call between him and Bam and Tyler Hero, but I'm just not interested in the contract associated with it. So I would probably pass. Now we get the Suns trade, and this is the exact same trade but flipped. All right, we move. Portland Trail Blazers, Jeremy Grant for Chris Middleton, the first-round pick, top 5 protected. The Portland Trail Blazers definitely have a recipe where they try to bring in assets and try to rebuild their value. So they bring in Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton accepts his player option. He plays his heart out for 3 months, and then you flip Chris Middleton for whatever to a team that might be interested in him. Not a bad look. Again, at 2035 first or 2031 first-round pick, this one top 5 protected, might be interested, might be interesting. I would probably do this deal. I'll probably do this deal. Sign me up. Next is another one. It is Fred VanVleet, Reed Shepherd, and 1 first-round pick. I'm assuming that the reason why the first-round draft capital in this De'Aaron Fox trades are not that high is because you're playing a dangerous game by trading for a player who by all reports wants to go somewhere else. So why would I give up 4 first-round picks for a player that I'm afraid is probably just going to walk in a year and a half? But still, I just believe when you think about the Houston Rockets having 10 first-round picks right now, you trying to tell me I get Reed, who was a top 3 pick this year, so he counts as a first in a way, and then just 1 first-round pick for 2028, and it has protections on it. I like his fit in Houston. I'll tell you that much. But I just feel like I would pry a little bit more. I want just a little bit more future assets. I want maybe 1 more tangible player, and maybe I'm overrating the market of De'Aaron Fox in this video, but I just don't love some of these trades that's being thrown out for him. Here's the Spurs one. It's Chris Paul, it's Jeremy Sohan, it's Zach Collins. It is 1 first-round pick via Atlanta. That is the one that's super important. And then 1 first-round pick for this year via Chicago. That pick has a 2% chance right now of conveying because the Bulls are 9th right now. And in order for them to drop out of the top 10, then they need 2 people to jump up, and the likelihood of that is pretty low. So even this is the prize jewel here when it comes to draft capital, the Atlanta Hawks pick. I don't know if I like any of the trades for De'Aaron Fox, bro. And if it does happen, we'll really dive into what the market really was. But I don't like any of these trades for him. Gary Payton and Moses Moody for Kelly Olynyk. Sign me up. If I am the Raptors, I would take a flyer on Moses Moody. He signed an extension. It's not a huge extension. He's 22 years old. I would take this flyer in a heartbeat. Yeah, and if I'm the Warriors, getting another center is important. Utah Jazz, the John Collins deal. This is one that has been rumored pretty heavily over the last 24 hours or so. It is Kevin Huerter. It's Trey Lyles. I don't know about draft capital in the rumors that I've heard, but I know for sure these 2 players have been linked to get John Collins. And I like John Collins' fit. Again, they just need more big players. I mean, John Collins is more of a 4-5 than he is a 3-4, but just having more size in that lineup could be pretty interesting. And then you can allow Keegan Murray to play up just a little bit to more of a full-time 3. Last trade is Cam Christie, PJ Tucker, and a number 2 second-round pick for Jonas Valanciunas, getting more size because Mo Bamba or Kai Jones just not cutting it in Clipper Nation. Not mad at that. It depends on what your opinion of Cam Christie is. And personally, I have 0 opinion about Cam Christie. So that's that. Let me know what you think, man. A lot of trades. 30 trades to be exact. Good trade, bad trades, you let me know.